we have discussed, and we've been discussing in the past teachings, in the past few weeks, now that we are moving towards plasma technology, that how do we measure magravs? How do we measure units? Measuring units has been one of the problems or one of the criterion that we had to understand. As some of you know, I came back from Ghana over the weekend, and the next day we went to Romania. We just came back late last night with Giovanni from Romania. We met a scientist about a year ago in Valletta, a very, what I call, a stubborn scientist. When he came here last year, he wanted to know what magrav was, and he wanted to put a formula to it. And we had the pleasure to have a hackle with him till about 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, the first day of our arrival. And he made sure he's the last person we see before we get on the plane yesterday, coming back from Romania. We gave a lecture to about 200-300 scientists, doctors, and the rest yesterday in Bucharest. And it was a pleasure to see them, to spread the knowledge, and to see how they are more well educated than us in plasma technology, but through the soul of the man. And I saw an amazing formulas in front of me. This man is a professor in Bucharest University, and he teaches plasma technology on Keshe Foundation as a degree course in the university. So if you want to understand now the university in Bucharest, you can study the magrav plasma unit as a degree university course. There are 5 courses they teach. And in that process, in past year, since we met him, he has looked at every aspect of the knowledge of man in plasma, in electron, in transfer of fields, and we are coming up to a point that in a short time, we will be able to deliver a formula for measurement of magravs, that we know what we receive as gravitational, what we leave as magnetical. And in a hot discussion, as usually goes with the people of no knowledge like us about the world of space, we came out with a lot of misunderstanding and understanding, and a stubbornness of what it should be and what it should not be, because when we lay the formulas down, it will last for the life of man. So, since I met him 3 o'clock in the morning on Monday night or Tuesday morning, early hours of Tuesday morning, I said to him, you are making the same mistake as Einstein and the rest of the scientists. Einstein has put the thing down the wrong way, but you have to get rid of assumptions. Can I have a whiteboard, please? The strangest thing is, can I have the whiteboard? The strangest thing is, he was tangled by the mass of an atom and the energy of the atom and energy of a photon. It could not be done because Einstein has made a massive mistake limiting energy, as we all know, to but now we know mass will stay constant. In a spaceship we travel, the mass cannot be changed because it's like a star, it's like a planet. It will be kept steady. Even if we load another 1 million people on it, it will change very little. We add to the inertia, but not to gravitational field. So to complete part of the energy equation, there is a biggest problem, which is the speed of the travel or the speed of the motion of the gravitational magnetic field. This brings us to stop any mistakes to be made, to redefine the speed of light. But now we call it the speed of plasma. It has to be done that way. So if we start evaluating the whole structure, there is a need for a new understanding. I gave this formula to the scientists. I said, if you're work in the real condition. On a back of piece of paper yesterday after the conference, I said, this is the way you got to go to be able to do it. What does it mean? We have to consider the speed of the plasma at the spectrum of the whole plasma. If you look at it, very simply, this is the C. But we have to see where the strength lies. We have to understand that we are dealing with plasma. So I have rewritten the speed of plasma in this way, and hopefully we see what comes from the other scientists. So from now on, we call it the speed of plasma. We don't consider it as a speed of light, because light can be created at any strength of the plasma in the universe. Now, we have to redefine the next step. If the speed of plasma at a given strength is considered, let's say, like A, so we call it at A, has a factor order with it, which we call it K. It's the order of magnitude of the plasma. So it can be K 1,000 in respect to what you make a standard. If you make the speed of light as a standard that we understand the minimum matter state of man, the K can be 1,000. But compared to the reference point of the speed of light in the matter state for human being. In the future, when we modify this, we understand the order of magnitude will have to have two characteristics, or made of two parts, because you have an interaction. A plasma, a field, cannot travel on its own. It has to have a point. It is greater to or smaller. Either way you want to look at it. A plasma, a field, a magnetic field only travels if it has a companion. This takes the order of magnitude in not 4 dimensions, but 8 dimensions, because each one of these has 4 of itself and 2 of them interact. So we have to consider 8 parameters. Then in that parameter, we have to consider the following: the gravitational and the magnetical. This is how the new equation in respect to the energy of the plasma at any point in the universe has to be considered. We cannot take it to be only on its own. We have to take it in the direction we travel, which we targeted. We create a gravitational and magnetic field to be pulled into or be repelled. So if we rewrite and understand in so many ways the speed of the travel, the speed of the plasma has to carry all these within it. So we make this as the new standard till we can add to it or correct it. This way, we don't make any assumptions. Einstein, to reach this formula E equal mc squared, he has made huge assumptions, all assumptions, because he wanted to prove something, which led to mankind to more mistakes than the past. So when we get the final formula, we understand that the mass will be the total mass balance between gravitational magnetic field, if you read book 1, and then with the speed that mass in respect to the environment is working on. So in so many ways, we have written the first line of formulas, the first line of characteristics of any plasma. In so many ways, what is A here, it has a companion somewhere else, which is B, which is matching to, traveling to, or walking away, or finding its own speed. A space scientist, nuclear physicists now find out some of the problems we had with Planck, some of the problem we had with photons, with this equation, with this understanding gets solved. Then there is no assumption. There is no assumption that we are talking in what language. Everything is plain. Everything has to be considered in a world of space travel. You make an assumption, and your assumption is wrong, you're doomed. You have to. Scientists like the professor we met, and I know there are a number of scientists around the world working on this, they find this equation, this understanding of the speed redefines the whole world of physics and energy. It's a simple understanding of mankind, of the speed of the motion in the direction which goes. We cannot see a plasma unless it's in motion or is interacting, is getting pulled to, or is moving away from one string to join another. We cannot bullet shoot. We cannot leave it to be left on its own to where it goes. You have to understand what this speed of plasma brings to the spaceship program, because it's part of its structure, it's part of its understanding, it's part of its operation. What does this mean? It's very simple. This is what I explained to the professor. In the aircraft of today, the only way we see jetliner is seeing the craft, and we see, what you like to call it, is chemtrail. In the space technology, in the work of the spaceship program, the story is different, totally different. Where in the world of space, the spaceship program, where the sign of existence a plane has passed is on its tail. In the space technology, the craft sits on the tail of the light you see. It's totally opposite. You always travel in the depth of the plasma, which is already its interaction with its destination. You travel with the speeds which you set according to the strength of which part of the plasma you choose. So it dictates the speed which you travel. When you see a light ahead, you have to look on the tail where the spaceship is. Where now, when you see a chemtrail, you look at the front, if it's a jumbo jet or is it any other kind of plane. So with a new formula we set up, we dictate the position of arrival of A at B, and then we understand that this formula is and become applicable and dictates the speed of the travel, where you have to consider A and B on both. I have spent many years to complete this. you got to understand, as a scientist who work, we have a beautiful control system where the destination being a planet, being a star, being a galaxy, be it a mass plasma condition which supports life we want to go to, has to have the characteristics which this stays always the same, and the point of destination can be a planet or a star or a rendezvous somewhere in the space. With this understanding of the speed of plasma and understanding why we need it, the scientists now can develop the next stage of understanding of the spaceship program. We have no choice, because partially this will affect the magnetic gravitational field protection zone which you set around your craft too. Is not a one-way traffic, is you have to have a calculation for your protection. In the craft, you can continuously change A or B, but your destination is more or less fixed. But at the same time, you don't want to lose your protection, and you want to create a condition of approach where you come as fast as possible. But when you approach in a space, there is no brakes. It's not to put the thing on reverse thrust. All you need to do, you reverse, you measure the strength of the magnetical field of the planet, and you create gravitational field according to the strength of your own reactor. So you come to a halt at the speed of light. You can take off at the speed of light. And the point where the gravitational and magnetic field of the system in respect to its destination or the position comes into operation, you usually see a flashing light on the atmospheric condition. Go back and look at many videos, especially what you see in Jerusalem on Christmas Day. That was one of the perfect systems in definition. You see the craft, a switch, a flashing light, and it takes off. That confirms the system is a flying object, and that's the only way it will react. As you call it, the pilot changes the gravitational into magnetical in respect to his system, in respect to the Earth condition, you get a balance, interaction, a fusion of the fields in what you call plankton level to the eye of the man, that you see a photon on that level, and then you see a vertical lift-off. As I've said in many of the talks before, a pilot who takes such an action takes a lot of risk in the atmospheric condition. But you have to look into the nearest star or planet or the moon which the pilot decided to interact with. If in the future people look at the way that craft takes off and can pinpoint moon or another star or whatever which is on the horizon of his life, moon is too close for these kind of things. It's like you're traveling at the speed of 100 kilometers and trying to stop in 10 meters. It's impossible. So you have to look in destination, the point of the travel, where the pilot has dictated his position of reference. A man in the future, when he takes these positions, will understand the connection with incapacity of our present electronic and electrical system to control such a flight. Then you understand such changes are only applicable the same as what we said in the evolution of the man, that you can change your skin to become your protection. The pilot, through the emotion to understanding, controls everything, and he has already pre-planned possible a planet, possible a star, possible a galaxy, which gives him the escape route. In some of the space technologies of the future, these kind of crafts, when they approach, or when you are yourself part of it, you approach, you make one thing sure. You leave a hook in the space that you can anchor to, that you can place yourself in. Don't forget, it's not the size which counts anymore. If you place a system the size of a pinball with the power of a galaxy in a certain position, it's your point of reference to go to. It's your salvage, it's your protection. You do not need to pinpoint to a star or a moon. You have already hooked yourself into it, and your system continuously keeps in respect to it. So it's very much like a spider who lives a little bit on the ceiling and he hangs himself, and when there is a danger, it goes up there. Little string is already made. This is what you will develop. This is what it'll be. In Rome conference, Armand will show the next step of the space reactors. He has made one of the most gorgeous systems up to now. You will see the initial step development of space reactors. We can produce miniature power supplies that make him independent. He has developed a way for himself with a battery, which I saw this morning, is fantastic. But you will see the first interaction of the space reactors. Then you understand, you keep a constant speed of the interaction in a way between your own system, if you understand this new link of calculating. The space travel in the coming time will become a game for those who understand the work of the universe and not in the matter state. Those who understand the interactions and not the final line of approach. In so many ways, as we have started teaching and bringing in so many ways all aspects of the space technology together, those of you who work or understand, or those of you, as we saw last week, started bringing tools to measure it. Now, as I said, nothing comes a day earlier, nothing comes a day later. Everything with the foundation and the work of what we do, because we are here to serve humanity, will come exactly the time it has to be. The professor walks in, he says, I've got you the formula, I can measure. A gentleman walks in with a gadget last week, which will give him a platform to teach us more, for us to understand. You've got to realize one thing, as I said in the lecture yesterday in Bucharest. We are not here to teach, we are here to inspire. If we teach, it becomes sacrosanct and people follow. We inspire, the total collection of the knowledge of the man comes into operation. Because then, this is how we evolve to understand more. We evolve to be open in the understanding of us is not the final. So what we see is to understand the new operation of the spaceship program. We inspired you since Christmas to understand the operation of it in yourself. Now we mix in different ways the science of space with the measurement, science of space in what they said it needs a tools to write the equations, which a lot of you would like to have, that you can confirm something is right, does not apply in your brain. Your soul, your emotion does not have a measurement. So what we see is how we are developing the space science through collection of the work of different scientists around the world. This is how it should be. This is how it will be. Sharing unconditionally. I have asked the professor to release his work as he's lecturing in his university, the plasma technology, to teach us as part of the teaching. So what we're going to see is plasma physicists, or people who can measure and understand. We open a section, as we've done with the medical, with agriculture. In a coming time, we open a section for space travel and understanding of the science of space by those who are involved. Do not forget, we have a number of scientists around the world who've been working around this work. Now, we have put, and we just try to not to make the mistakes of the past to condition